Hello everyone, for those of you who haven't met me yet or don't know of me, my name is Eric. I run this channel of fun little Spright videos where over the last few months gathered a compilation of like deck profiles, lists, videos on my experience, I guess a couple of match highlights as well on DB and in real life, of which I'll be doing more of as well as we go on. So I made this quick video today just because I wanted to go over my experience over the YCS. It was YCS Sydney that just happened over the weekend. And again, this is a bit impromptu, so bear with me. This happened on the 9th and the 10th of March, which was, a couple of days ago. So before we jump into it, I guess I want to quickly say congratulations to the winner, Jason, from Melbourne, who managed to represent Australia to an extraordinary extent, beating out the couple of US players in the top 4, which was, a bit frightening. I feel like it's the first time in a while that an Australian player has actually won the YCS, which is good, right? Like, good for us at least in terms of like nationalistic pride, but nonetheless, not too important. And I also want to give a big congratulations to the others who made the top 32 cut, those being Nathan, I'm reading down the list right now. So Carlos also made it, playing Branded instead of, I think he was meant to play Viking Snake Guy. He was tossing up between Viking Snake Guy and Vanadium, as well as Xavier. So Xavier is the young 16-year-old who I did feature in one of our matches in the past at my locals. He performed really well and came in top 16, I believe, with his Kashtira list. So very proud of him. We're all really proud of our locals. Good on him. As well as, just go run down, I think. Oh, and of course, Stephen Medhurst. Stephen Medhurst also made top 32. So I'm looking at the challenge link, and it's not showing every single one of the matches that were played, I believe. It might be a bit bugged, but it is what it is, right? So he was playing his Vanquish Sword deck instead of the Snake Eye deck he was playing me at locals. So good stuff to him as well. I'll actually leave a link to his channel in the description because he did make a deck profile on my winning locals list. I'd say like 2-3 weeks ago now. It's been a while, but yeah, congratulations to him as well. All right, now let's talk about my experience. So it's not really a negative video. I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm not saying that anything went on, like nothing scandalous, like the the LA 3v3 YCS that everyone I'm sure now knows about. I just want to talk about my experience in, specifically my experience in the YCS playing the Spright deck. So the deck list I brought in was pretty much more or less exactly the same as what you guys saw. I want to talk about what worked, what could have changed, what might have been a bit better. So I might actually edit that onto the screen right now if I'm able to remember, which I will. So this is the deck list that I'm looking at right now. So as you guys can see, there are 2 bells in the main, and I've replaced that the 2 drolls that were previously there with the 2 bells. So just like swap places from main deck to side deck, because I had a feeling that there were going to be less Vanadium players. And yeah, that turned out to be pretty accurate because I played against 0 Vanadium players, but at the same time, didn't play too well this tournament. I have a couple reasons for that. You can think of them as excuses, but also at the same time, I feel like it's just a bit of like bad RNG mixed with, some things that could have been in my control, but maybe could have come down to better planning as well. So first of all, before the YCS, the week before, I did mention, I made a community post saying that I was going to be traveling, and I did end up going to Bali in Indonesia for a holiday. And if I sound a bit different from what from how I normally sound, that is because I did manage to catch some like stomach bug there on the second last day, which is very unfortunate. The day of the flight, I felt really nauseous when I stepped off the plane, but I believe it was some like gastro. I'm going to spare you guys the details, but basically I wasn't feeling my best. The flight as well was really draining. Originally, I was going to land in the morning of the YCS, and I was going to head straight from the airport to my friend's place. I was going to take a quick shower, and then I was going to head straight to the YCS. But obviously that, in hindsight, was a terrible idea. Luckily, however, our plane was going to be delayed a couple of hours. I say luckily because we managed to reschedule the flight to a flight that happened the previous day. So we all caught the earlier flight. We got back home. I got, like a couple hours of sleep, and I had to rush out to the YCS. But again, really lethargic. I made quite a few misplays, but I'd say like none were big enough to the point where it actually costed a game, as far as I can remember. So in the end, of all the matches that I can recount, I went 3-3 before I decided to drop, because it was just such a bad performance. Like from the get-go, it was a mix of RNG, bad RNG, and yeah. All right, so the first match I played against one of my friends, actually. His name is Josh Kim. He was playing the Viking Snake Eye deck, and he won the die roll. Going first, he made a full board, very standard. I drew an entire going first hand, so 0 hand traps. That was quite unfortunate, so I had to give that up pretty much quickly. Pretty much immediately, because, the standard princess into whatever, and then all your twos are gone. So if I was going first, different story, but nonetheless, that is the luck of the draw. Second game was a shifter game, so we shifted him. There was a bit of back and forth because they don't just die under shifter if they have a hand trap. So I believe I couldn't kill him that turn, but the following turn I was able to kill him. I think I reshifted him, or I killed him in the same turn, actually. I'm not too sure, one or the other, but it was like a gamma burst game. And then game 3, again, I drew a full going first hand with maybe 1 hand trap at most. That wasn't enough to stop him. And so that was that. No super polys, no deep shifters, which is quite unfortunate, but it is what it is. So game 2, I played against another person I play against in locals sometimes. He was running a mishmash of like a Dark Magician, Buster Blader, like there was like a Dragoon package in there. I think that was about it. He was also playing the Wanted engine, but that never actually resolved. So I think I probably could have drawn a little better. It did go to game 3 against him. Probably, honestly, okay, so I did get hand trapped in game 1. Couldn't do anything about that. Yeah. I won the dice roll game 1. I lost that one. I won game 2. And then game 3... No. I won the first one. I lost the second one. And then game 3, I sided in Arch Lord Christia. And I ended up drawing Arch Lord Christia plus a Gamma Burst going first, which is very unfortunate. Wasn't able to make a board. I managed to shifter in that game, but... yeah, lost against that one as well, so quite unfortunate. Game 3 was, again, this is like off the top of my head, maybe I should have prepped a little bit beforehand. But yeah, game 3 was against Fluonderies. Yes, Fluonderies. So Fluonderies, a lot of back and forth. Zeus is such a good card against Flu because you don't have to actually care about not being able to activate effects, either under M-Pen or under Huppy's Feather Storm. So 2-1 in that game. I think I lost a dice roll for that one as well. Game 4 was against someone that I actually met on Discord prior to the event, and then I ended up playing them in person, which is really cool. They were playing a Spright Pearly deck. Won that one as well. So this was like my comeback arc. I was really excited about just going 0-2. Well, not too much. Not too excited about going 0-2, but actually coming back from 0-2 to potentially like a 7-2. And by the way, for your reference, there were about 920 players in total at the event, so quite a big turnout. Very nice turnout actually for an Australian event. Yeah, I won that one as well, and that was where I misplayed a couple of times. I feel like I should have won game 2 quite quickly. And then game 3 shouldn't have happened in the first place, but it did get to a game 3, which I eventually won in the end. Mistakes from both ends, but that is the nature of the game. And following that, game 5 was against another Snake Eye Viking deck. No, it was against another Flu deck. It was another Flu deck first. So I played against a Flu player. Again, this one was arguably a lot worse than the previous one, to be honest, just because they didn't seem too experienced with a lot of the cards. They kind of had like this mentality of just like going down the same path every single time, very linear. And I said it ironically because like Spright is a pretty linear deck in some sense. But yeah, that was like a quick 2-0. And then game 6 was where we lost because we drew 3 imperms and a ghost spell in one turn against a pure Snake Eye deck. And it was actually just Brick City. It was very unfortunate. We lost the grind game. So what I can say about the deck is that Spright, in its essence, is a very good deck in certain matchups, just because it has so many bits of little utility that you can use here and there. It's kind of like layered interruption in the form of like the Melfies, the Smashes, the starter form of follow-up, Super Poly, whatever, hand traps. But against the Fire King deck, when we trade 1-for-1 in terms of hand traps, if you don't draw the Shifter, which I didn't draw against the pure Snake Eye deck, by the way, it actually just gets really complicated just because they have a lot more one-card starters as opposed to your Beaver or your starter, and otherwise you need 2 level 2s. So it does become really complicated in that sense. I'm in no way saying that like Spright is like a serious meta contender. I'm saying like it's still viable if you manage to draw the right cards, and like more often than not that does happen, but sometimes you just get really unlucky in like a bigger event such as the YCS where this has unfortunately happened. So yeah, that was my quick recap of the main event. Now the side events, I managed to win a mat. Let me just... It's not quite this one, because this is one that I actually bought, but this is meant to represent the mat that I won. I won a mat and I ended up selling it straight away. Basically, day 1 I played 1 winner mat because I think I spent a lot of the time trading, to be honest. It was great getting to meet people that I had previously like sold to or bought from. People flew all over from the country, all around the country over to Sydney, so it was great meeting everyone once again. I saw one of the mats like immediately after winning it. I won that mat day 2. Day 1, I played 1, went 2-1, lost to one of my friends, which is unfortunate. And then the day 2 event, side event happened. I arrived like midday. I only played 2 winner mats, one of which I won and one of which I lost to another Flu player in the finals again. So it was another 2-1 game. The matchups, not that people would care too much, but it was against like the one where I won was against 2 Centurions and a Labyrinth. The first day was I lost to pure Snake Eye, won against the Labyrinth deck, and I won against a Rescue Ace Rescue Ace Snake Eye deck. And on the last day, I won against T-Element, Centurion, and I lost to Fluanderies. So the Fluanderies player also placed top 16, I believe. Let me see if I can grab his name real quick, if I can remember. I think it was Matthew. I believe his name was Matthew. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Challenge. Flu. Yeah. His name is Matthew Laughlin. Very smart fellow. Very intense with his gameplay as well. It's very impressive to watch. But yeah, Drew, very unfortunate against him as well, because for some reason the Flu players are now main decking Dark Ruler no more, and I previously did not respect that card at all. I feel like there isn't too much of a way to play around Dark Ruler, just because I say layered interruptions, but that's only if the opponent does anything but use Dark Ruler, because like that was like the kill your deck card against Spright specifically, and a couple of other decks. But like it doesn't really make much sense to me personally to run Dark Ruler. But he also main decks evenly, so the first game I went first, he opened up Dark Ruler and evenly, not much you can do about that. Game 2, I started in the anti-spell, decided to go first again. I considered going second, but like it's just so tough breaking a Flu board if you don't open the right cards sometimes, without evenlies, without like lightning storms. So I decided to go first and just hope for the best. Didn't draw the anti-spell fragrance. Had a bit of a back and forth game, but that was about it. And unfortunately lost that one as well because, again, no anti-spell, and they opened Dark Ruler, and there's not much I could have done. But yeah, that was my experience. What I would change about the deck, potentially changing the Super Polys, but I feel like right now, especially with Centurions still running around, and there's like the FTK potential of not being able to activate anything, or like, you know, them having Quasar, I think Super Poly is so important. And at the same time, I really don't know what to replace the 2 extra slots in the extra deck with, potentially with like more copies of Sprint or Zeus, but that doesn't really change anything in terms of like what this deck needs per se. And so it frees up 3 extra spots in the main deck. Maybe you can put in like talents. Bell and Crow, having a mixture of both, I think is fine for the most part. I think having multiple hand traps is always good. And I've gotten a lot of comments in the past week or so talking about like the consistency of the deck and how it always tends to brick. I feel like bricking is inevitably going to be an issue because in terms of like the main deck engine, there isn't too much I want to change in terms of numbers. Like I don't want to run more carrots or reds. I want to ideally just run one of each so I can have that flexibility with the rest of the deck. One thing I can consider is EMP, and I might test that out a little bit, as well as the going second build with like a bunch of like going second cards, mind control, change of heart, maybe snatch, steal, or like Raigeki, whatever those cards. That could be something I will look at in the future as well. But yeah, until then, I will try harder at the next event. Hopefully I'll be rested up. Which is going to be the regionals next week. That'll be the last of like Australia's big events. And I think that will hopefully be a good time and for a better showing. Hopefully I can come back with like a much better record for that event. All right, till next time. See ya.